my, the abs on that one.
Dang, that is unbelievable.
Where's Justin? Justin?
Stand up some business, I believe.
Dude, I just lost 5 pounds.
All right. Way to go.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
BLT. You wash your hands, man.
Yeah.
Look at the abs on the stick. I was just.
Hey, this guy, look, we are PFT, and you're watching
WGS-TV on YouTube.
only.
Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFXTV. I'm Double P Billy Bucho, being joined first by the Studley man himself, Ashley. Ashley, how you doing tonight?
He comes out of the store and he says, "Thanks, pal, I owe you one."
Doing good.
I would have kicked his ass right
Also, we got the man from South Park, simply known as Cartman. Cartman, how you doing?
have his priorities straight.
Okay, just want to play Black Ops 2.
Well, anyway, we're going to talk about TNA's Turning Point pay-per-view, which we witnessed tonight. We opened up the show with Samoa Joe and Magnus for the television title in a no disqualification match. Good match, I would say. You know, it was kind of a flip of the coin. You know, when you initially look at it, would they have Samoa Joe drop the title to Magnus? But I think the way they're doing right now with the television title, with them trying to legitimize it, the best person to have it on at this point in time is Samoa Joe. If they pass it off to Magnus, I really don't think that would have been a smart move for TNA to do. Because Samoa Joe is really hot right now with that television title, and he's really making it stand out in TNA. But other than that, I thought this was a really good match. I was very entertained. The only kind of scary part is when they were kicking out of their finishers. Well, I'd say finishers with quotation marks. Because Magnus hit the elbow twice and didn't get the win. Samoa Joe hit the muscle buster, didn't get the win. And it came down to Samoa Joe's orgasmic-looking Kikita clutch for when Magnus passed out. He did not tap out, but he passed out. And Samoa Joe, for the love of God, stop acting like you're having an orgasm every time you're putting on that move, because that's just freaking scary. 4 out of 5. I would have got a 4.5 out of 5, but Samoa Joe's face during the finisher just scared me. Scared half a point out of me. So I'm going to go to 4 out of 5. Quentin, next up we had a mixed tag match with three out of the 4 participants I actually cared about.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually a pretty good match. It was nice to see EY back in competition. Like you said, I'm still trying to figure out who the hell this guy is that Tara calls her Hollywood boyfriend, in quotation marks. I'm still trying to figure out who the hell this guy actually even is, because I've never heard of whatever show they said he's on. But in terms of the match, it was really nice to actually see EY. Like I said, it was nice to see EY back in competition. He looked really good, and I just don't ever understand EY anymore, though. He did some stupid things, but good match overall. I'd like to see it. I just didn't see why they kind of managed to put that in the storyline. There was no real point to it. I found it as more like a filler match, but other than that, it was good. 3 out of 5, only because there was no real build-up to it.
No, I got to disagree with you, Quentin. I'm going to go 4 out of 5 on this one, because if you think back to about the last 2 or 3 weeks on Impact Wrestling, they've been having ODB's been having issues with Tara and Jesse. We think back to Open Fight Night when ODB challenged Jesse, and then there was a match between ODB and Tara where Jesse got involved heavily and cost ODB the match. So there was some significant build into this match. But I'm going to agree with you on, I'm going to go with 3.5 out of 5 on this one, because Eric Young took off his pants. Why?
Yeah, that was scary. But
I have to give it a 0 out of 5. I have to give it a 0 out of 5 because, like most of the IWC, I haven't watched this match, so therefore I'm going to give it a negative opinion. Oh, look, I'm going heel on the IWC. You listening?
Oh, God. The X Division title was on the line next as Rob Van Dam was defending against Joey Ryan, who looked like he had more grease on his chest hair than Michael Jackson ever did on his head. RVD in the X Division title has really been kind of boggling my mind ever since he won it over at Bound for Glory, but RVD seems to be making good with that title. I wonder if we'll see him hold on to it for another 22 and a half months. I wonder how many of you guys out there will understand that reference. Hint, hint. ECW. Anyway, Joey Ryan being in the company.
If he does, that ruins Destination X.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, Joey Ryan's. I really didn't think they were going to put the title on Joey Ryan tonight because, for one thing, he's still relatively new in the company. I really don't think he's, at that point in his career where he actually needs the title. They need to do some more significant building with him, get him more, get his character more out there. Especially that entrance music he came out to. It came out to like a bad 70s porno music. I'm like, oh my god, where's Ron Jeremy when you need him? Anyway, 4 out of 5 because the match was still good. And again, the placement of Matt Morgan kicking RVD in the face. We got to see a response by RVD on Matt Morgan's actions, probably on Impact Wrestling this Thursday. But, honestly, they really need to start doing something more with Matt Morgan than just having him do run-ins and stuff like that. But speaking of run-ins, I think we had quite a bit of run-ins on this next match, Quentin.
Yeah, the
Cartman?
which is Luke Gallows, but the Doc versus Joseph Park match. I actually have to say it was actually a pretty good match. It really was. Joseph Park took some blows and then he got hit with a belt over the head and it made him he started bleeding and then he kind of went all abyss. But we know he's abyss, obviously. If you don't, you're kind of saddening. But he is abyss. But yeah, you saw him go all abyss ape shit on Luke Gallows, and at the end, Luke Gallows did end up winning off a choke slam. But it was actually a pretty good match. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez were up next to defend their tag team titles against the former World Tag Team Champions of the world, Kazarian and Daniels, who I think they debuted, if I'm not mistaken, some new gear tonight as part of their tag team. Apparently their new color now is black and yellow. But match content-wise, I was very entertained with the match. Even though some people heavily disagree with Chavo Guerrero being in the match. I also like to point out the new finisher by Chavo and Hernandez. Hernandez had, I believe, I'm thinking it was Kazarian. Yes, thank you. Kazarian was up on Hernandez's shoulders, and Chavo did a crossbody off of that, and that's a good tag team finisher for Chavo and Hernandez. I think the Shining Star.
Splash device.
Sorry?
Splash device.
Oh God. 4 out of 5 on this one. Is actually, we'll talk up next about probably one of the most important triple threat matches ever in TNA history.
I wouldn't say TNA history, but match of the night, which was the triple threat. Whoever gets pinned is basically screwed for a year. Whoever wins probably doesn't get to actually have their title shot for another year anyway, just to completely ruin storyline. But it was Storm, Rude, and AJ, and it was an interesting. Clearly, it was obviously teased whichever way they could go over the last few weeks, but the match was very good. Great technical stuff from all three guys. The finish came with, I think it was Storm took out Rude, didn't he? With, I can't remember, and then he super kicked AJ.
Yeah.
And Storm pins AJ, which, if you look at last week's Impact, that kind of was what he wanted to do, because it was clearly that AJ was getting on the wick of Storm and vice versa. But we saw it later on in the night that you could see that AJ was absolutely dejected from the fact that he isn't getting another title shot until next October, which probably means he wins next October, because he is the new Jeff Hardy. Perhaps he's going to turn to drugs and realise that's the way he can go forward. I don't know.
Oh Lord. Well, actually, in this next match, was there really a point to having this match?
Yes, because the black man has to win.
What?
I don't know. That's how much there was a purpose to this match. If anything, if you wanted to keep the storyline going, it would have made more sense to have Von go over, or even have Bully Ray in this match. But no, what do? We have the ring surrounded by aces and eights, just about, ready to interfere. Angle gets the win and just escapes. And then Doc, in his infinite wisdom, just goes, "You're dead. You're dead. You're dead." Apparently, he's trying to rival Ryback for amounts of words that he uses in his language vocabulary. Clearly, and to be honest, it was still had some good bits, so I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. But you just know if it was Bully Ray, you would have had probably a very good match between the two because they've got chemistry.
Yes, and
the fact is, we're probably within the next week they'll probably target Samoa Joe and they'll get eaten. Or if they do what they do and basically whittle through everybody on the roster, we're gonna have a roster the size of Shane Douglas's roster on an ECW reunion show. 4 people.
wow. Well, the TNA World Heavyweight title was on the line next up in the ladder match. Jeff Hardy defending against Austin Aries. Aries revoking his rematch clause after losing at Bound for Glory to Jeff Hardy. Now, everybody's going to be coming in on this one. Actually, for one thing for sure, one thing we're probably going to see at a future Botchamania was something that happened in this match, the Phantom Punch.
Phantom Punch of Doom, and there might have been a couple of other bits. I don't know whether ladders class of botches, but the amount of ladders that we had was kind of crazy. We had, I think, 3 ladders were needed for the standard bit, and obviously the 4th one was just for the finish due to what happened. But if I want to give a true score, I'm going to do what the IWC does, and that's say I didn't watch the thing, so I give it 0 out of 5 because it must have been terrible. In reality, it was probably a 4 out of 5. I didn't score the triple threat one. I'd give that a 4.5 as match of the night. But this ladder one was still a very good ladder match, especially with the added twist of the U2 song Elevation. That's all I'm saying.
Cartman, in this matchup, there were so many amazing spots. What were some of your personal favorite spots of the match?
It's hard to pick. It was just Hardy looked like he took a lot of Hardy looked like he took the majority of the I don't know what I'm looking for, but
Bumps?
mostly it was on Hardy. The thing I actually really not botched, but you know what I mean. The thing I really did actually kind of like the most though was the Twist of Fate on top of the ladder. That was pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was just absolutely scintillating. Not only did we get a flying Twist of Fate off the ladder in the middle of the ring, but when the ladder was on the top rope, and Ash, I believe you called this for a possible Twist of Fate onto the ladder, and it's exactly what happened. And man, these guys just went all out. I mean, it was an amazing ladder match, and especially with Jeff Hardy involvement. You know, you always expect something very entertaining and very amazing. Now, wrestling-wise, not as good as the triple threat match was, but all things considered, you know, the fact that entertainment-wise, this was a scintillating ladder match. But, you know, I got kind of confusing. I thought the goal of the match was to pull both title belts down. Jeff Hardy climbs up and only pulls one of his belts down. That's the one that he made and gets the win. And so people who were watching thinking, oh, hold on, there's still a title belt up there. Isn't he supposed to pull it down? Well, Hardy pulls it down about a second after that to make sure that, yeah, I am the TNA World Heavyweight Champion because, look, I have both title belts. I'm going to go...
The crowd was very hit and miss throughout the night.
Oh, yes.
For quite often throughout that main event, there was no reaction from the crowd. And then, when he pulled the title down, the marks in the crowd that knew that they had to yell, yelled. Everyone else was like, this match isn't over. He hasn't given up. And then they announced he's won. And then, even after she announced that he's won and the music played, as soon as he pulled the belt down, then the crowd went, oh, wow, he's actually won.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if they would have had the place like in Phoenix or anywhere else other than the Impact Zone, the crowd, we would have had a much better crowd. I believe the crowd would have been more into it. There would have been, there would have been more involved in all of the matches, to be honest with you. And instead of, the 70% of the crowd being tourists who go into the Impact Zone from Universal Studios.
I swear, if the building was on fire, it'd take them 10 minutes before, oh, it's on fire, we better leave via the fire escapes.
Yeah. Overall score and Turning Point this year, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Samoa Joe versus Magnus was a great match. Eric Young ODB defeating Jesse and Tara. My only complaint was when Eric Young and ODB were making up before the match, they had a lot of spit from the beard. Ugh. RVD versus Joey Ryan, it was kind of predictable, but, again, I like the spot with Matt Morgan, and possibly we'll see a response from RVD for Matt Morgan's actions this Thursday on Impact. Again, it's just a possibility. Doc versus Joseph Park. I was really hoping for Abyss to come out, if you know what I mean. Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez defeating the former World Tag Team Champions of the World. I thought it was okay. And the debut of a new tag team finisher for Chavo and Hernandez kind of tells me that, they're really putting some stock into Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez being a tag team. Triple threat match, I have to agree with the Studley Man Ashley. Best match of the night. Storm defeating AJ Styles, who will not receive a title match, a world title match, until Bound for Glory next year. But that doesn't say you can't go for the TNA television title or the X Division or the tag title. But Kurt Angle and Devon, I don't know what the point of the match was, to be honest with you. I think the only thing that we're really trying to get over on this match was the fact that Aces and Eights had a problem with Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle had a problem with Aces and Eights. That's my only theory that I could put spin on this match. And then the main event ladder match, Jeff Hardy defeating Austin Aries. Again, wrestling-wise, not as good as the triple threat match, but entertainment-wise, a very scintillating match and a great way to close out your pay-per-view. 4 out of 5 for me.
AJ and the Curse of Claire Lynch. That's all.
Ashley, I want to go with you first. Your overall score and thoughts on Turning Point.
From what I saw, given that I didn't see the first 2 matches and not all the third match, I have to give it a 4 out of 5. It was generally an enjoyable pay-per-view, even if some of the matches basically had no purpose, because, well, I don't see any purpose for Jesse even being in a TNA ring, but that aside.
That's a complaint I've been making ever since he appeared in TNA.
We're on Axana level here, people. And you know how much I hate Axana from the last time I was on.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, Cartman, your overall score and thoughts on Turning Point this year?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It was a really good pay-per-view, but I was going to give it a 5 out of 5. But just because Eric Young was in spandex or Speedo, I have to deduct half a point. 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, Eric Young stripped again. Thank God he doesn't do that on his fishing show, or else that would be just really, really odd.
That would be.
Anyway, what we want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Turning Point this year. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Don't forget to check out Cartman over on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/KillerXKenny. He'll be
Subscribe!
He's got a new NASCAR series going on there, so be sure you check him out on there. And please don't forget to subscribe to YouTube.
Black Ops drop on Tuesday.
And don't forget to
Black
please...
Ops is Tuesday.
Well, anyway, please don't forget to subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZepXTV Network. So, for the man simply known as Cartman and the Studley Man Ashley, I'm Double B Billy Boudreaux saying, why am I the only guy that doesn't have man in his name?
That's your own fault.
I never knew hobby horses were so tough.
Hi, I'm Chris Master 1, and you've been watching WGS-TV on YouTube. Be sure and check out the Friday Night Renegade show every Friday from 10 to midnight Eastern, only on GCSUradio.com. And remember, Keep it on rocking, folks. Oh, check out my YouTube channel as well. youtube.com/ChrisMaster1. We'll see you on the next episode of WGS-TV.